They probably ain't gonna understand what I'm talking about. Past interference that these people won't challenge. I got inside my to make sure I don't panic. I took interest inside the car, now my whip panoramic. I went hard and became a star. Now everybody want a candy.
Coming off a tough home loss last night to the Wisconsin Badgers, the Purdue men's basketball team about to become road warriors, playing 4 of their next 5 games away from the friendly confines of Mackey Arena beginning this Saturday when they take on the Penn State Nittany Lions in a noon tip-off at the Bryce Jordan Center in State College. Good evening, everybody. The weather tonight, so Tim Newton filling in for him. We do have the coach with us tonight. Matt Painter will be taking your questions and my questions and all comments I'm sure that we'll have about last night's game and about the games coming up. 888-246-2678 is our phone number here. We are on the Facebook site for Purdue Athletics. You can follow us there. And again, the Boilermakers will take on Penn State to start a very tough road stretch. We'll be talking about that with the head coach when we come back. It will be the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO right after this. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
For 100.
Ivy. And almost was MVP on a losing team. He's tremendous. There he is, right on cue, taking the lob from Ethan Martin. Not uncommon. That's what Purdue does to just about everybody. Ivy. Count it. So, you know, chemistry issues out there on both ends of the floor could be problematic. How about that? Zach Edey as well as Travion Williams. Only 4 points in the painted area. There's an easy one. Miles Tate loses it. Ivy again.
That you normally would take, but this is a 37% free throw shooting team and another lob.
Boy, Morton and Edey have got it down, don't they?
1-2-2 or disguised 2-3 zone, but again, beautiful.
How about that pass from Williams? Well, this guy's got a lot of pep in his step, doesn't he? Look at that high riser. Look at that high riser. Stefanovic. Has come into the game, as has First. Ivy, beautiful pass to First. Ivy's just doing it all.
You only got 28 points right now, and we're ticking down in the second half. And Stefanovic right now able to add.
It was saved by David, but right into the waiting arms of Ethan Morton.
Too deep.
Beautiful pass. Beautiful pass to Gillis. Wow. You look up and you see that big wall of Zach Edey, and you say, gosh, this is imposing.
But you know what the pros are like about him, too? Is that remember when he came into, and that's his pet move right there, that little crossover. When he came into Purdue, he was overweight.
Taken out of there by Ivy. And he's just feeling it. Everything's dropping.
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Show, presented by GEMCO. We're live at Wolfies Grill with the largest view of the game outside of Mackey Arena. And we are joined by the head coach, Matt Painter, with us. Matt, first of all, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Not the way you wanted to start last night at home against Wisconsin, this not 2022 calendar year, but a Wisconsin team that came in with one of the best players in the Big Ten, Johnny Davis, and he sure showed it last night.
Yeah, he was fabulous, to say the least, and really talked to our guys about him and his ability to make shots when he gets space. I just thought he was great. We had him on USA Basketball. Obviously, he was on the team with Jaden and Caleb as some of the U19 team that got the gold medal. Just a fabulous two-way player, just a great model for young kids to kind of look at a jump from your freshman to your sophomore year, but also a model of being a two-way player. You know, he did a great job, I thought, defensively on tape when watching him. He puts energy into the defensive end. He obviously got 14 rebounds last night, 13 defensive. From a guard standpoint, that's huge. And then he was selective. Obviously, we helped the cause. I think he had 4 run-out dunks. I think 3 of those were off our turnovers. One was off of a kind of a scramble ball, and when we were pressing at the end of the game,
Right.
His kind of role just was kind of ironic, kind of a unique play that he ended up getting a layup out of it. But no, he was fabulous. One of the best performances I've seen in Mackey Arena for an opponent.
I remember looking up at the scoreboard when you were up 49-42. I think there were 11 minutes left, and he had 18 points at that point, and I thought it was a really quiet 18.
Right.
He scored 19 points in the last 11 minutes. Those weren't quite as quiet.
No, they were not. We go under a ball screen. We allow him to get free one time, just off a miscommunication, off of it was going to be a switch, but he slipped the screen. And for all the slips that we do, we probably lead the country in slips for layups when people switch. We just had a breakdown there, and then we got into a zone off on an ISO ball screen, and we just didn't have communication, and he gets open again. So, late in the game there, after going back and watching the tape, one was just a breakdown. The other one's a miscommunication. The other one's just going under a ball screen when you should stay, tight into the ball screen. And he's great off of his left hand. And so anytime he receives a ball screen to use his left hand, he's obviously going to do that. But anytime he's going to go to his right, he loves to turn those ball screens down. We wanted to do the best we could to send him into those ball screens, even if that was his left hand, then really be high in that ball screen. And we did a pretty good job throughout the game in that assignment. But then once we did have a couple breakdowns in that sequence, he made us pay.
I think you mentioned, and a few of your players mentioned last night, that once he got going, the basket gets bigger and bigger, and we saw Ron Harper Jr. do it earlier. I saw Ron Harper's dad do it in Mackey Arena back in the 1980s. Once those guys that are great natural scorers get on a roll, you can throw a lot of different things at them, and it's kind of like kryptonite at that point.
Yes.
They're not susceptible to your kryptonite.
Yeah, when you get 37, it's normally not 37 of one thing. Sometimes you'll see guys get 9 threes, and it kind of encompasses the whole deal. But with him, like I talked about the 4 breakout dunks, he had 1 putback that we just didn't box out and didn't get the rebound. But he was around. Then he has the intermediate jumpers, he has the threes, and then he gets the free throws. He got to the free throw line. And so, like, now when you throw in the layups, the free throws, the pull-ups, the threes, all those things together, you're going to have a special night.
And when you have to pay as much attention as you do like that to one player, sometimes another guy will get free. I thought Brad Davison hit some huge threes for them down the stretch.
Yeah, the 1 3 was just a scramble where we have the rebound. And then it just kicks around and ends up back in his hands, and we just don't get it. We had a handful of those plays where it's like a 50-50 ball, and it's there. One we collide, and the ball goes out of bounds off of a free throw where we just don't communicate. But then he did a great job coming off of a screen and just being ready to shoot. Now that 1 3 at the very end was a huge 3 for them.
You've talked about the fact, and last night wasn't the first time you mentioned this, that the defense has to get better, and sometimes people will think that's coach speak, and sometimes they'll listen to it, and players probably the same way. So if the defense isn't going the way it needs to go, what can you do? What do you need to do? Right.
Well, you have to be able to stay connected as a defense. When you stay, and what that really, the definition of staying connected means, it's not doing something a certain way, and that way is the only way to make something work. But whatever you decide to do and whatever you teach, you have to do it. And you have to do it that way. If you start doing things on your own, it doesn't mean what you're actually doing is that bad. It's bad because now you're surprising the people on your team. So if you say to go under something, then go under. If you say to stay tight with the ball screen, stay tight. Now that keeps you connected when you do your job. We're just fragmented out there when guys start to do things and they don't stick with, okay, this is what Wisconsin's going to do in their action. We're going to switch this action. We're going to stay tight on this, whatever it might be. When you break from that, you surprise your teammates, and that's where you get disconnected. You got to be able to do your job. So that's first and foremost the biggest thing we've struggled with this year is guys just not consistently doing their job and finding people. It's why you see, like Ethan Morton for us, he's got a 6-to-1 assist turnover ratio. He doesn't turn the basketball over. He hasn't been in a lot of those experiences, opportunities as much as other people have. But he's one with his size, his length, his athleticism. He's the one that's really has really stepped up to the forefront for us to help us because he's really making an effort in that area. And you need that with your bigger guards. Sometimes your lead guards aren't going to go on those big wings as much as you would like. And so that's what we need more than anything. We need, if we're going to play post defense a certain way, do it every single time. If you're going to play ball screen defense a certain way, do it every single time. We get disconnected too much. Then we haven't done a great job of scrapping. I think our out-rebounding them by 6 should have been 16. But I thought they were quicker to the ball in some of those long rebounds, some of those 50-50 balls right there. So we got to do a better job with our competitive spirit, and we got to do a better job of just simply doing our job. What people get into and people that watch the game, Bob Knight used to always say the game's watched by millions and understood by few, is they think something's wrong, and we just have to be better at what we do. We've proven how we handle things and how we go about things. We've played Wisconsin a lot. We've had success against Wisconsin a lot. But how to defend them and how to go about, you still got to have a better fight than them. And we didn't have that. And that was something we talked all week in practice about. We have to have a better fight. We have to stick with things. And it's not one of those things where you got guys just always not doing what they're supposed to do. That's not it. You know, when you play those teams, if you do what you're supposed to, you have given yourself a chance. It doesn't guarantee you'll win. You know, people think, okay, I'm going to do all this stuff, so we guarantee. No. Just guarantees you have it. If you don't do it, then, you know, now you're really putting yourself in a tough position because you're surprising your teammates all the time.
GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Matt Painter Show and proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors, Boiler Up. We'll have more of the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO right after this. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Another three. Mason Gillis hits the first of the game. We'll see. Wisconsin, meanwhile, 0 of 7 from outside the arc. We talked about how that's not their game. Williams will try it from deep. How about that? Travion Williams, his third 3 of the year. They do bounce it in there late in the shot clock. Edey going to work. Great spin move, and he got it. Top of the arc. Oh, boy. Wisconsin, 1 of 12 from outside the arc, but as you were talking about, Robbie, they've been able to do it in the painted area. Speaking of the painted area, good start for Purdue and Travion Williams. Long rebound coming to Thompson. Ivey ties us up at 29. He's got 13 to lead all scorers. Now Ivey on the other end against the defensive Davis. And Williams, big offensive rebound. Great kick out to Ivey.
For a long time in this league, making Purdue pay off the set play.
253 career threes, second all time in a Badger uniform. Williams going to work.
How about that move?
That's a good point, and you would want to go against your enemy rather than your friend in a heated battle like this. Morton from the top of the arc, his first bucket of the night, and maybe doesn't look so egregious. Stefanovic knocks it down from deep. So Purdue counters by going right inside, and Edey gets it to drop.
That was a strong move. If Tyler Wall is shooting even 27% from 3 like he did last year, that's one of those deals where you stay out there, you got a wide open shot.
Into Edey. Edey powers it up and in again. He's got 11. Ivey with a hesitation and blow by.
How about that burst?
Now Jaden Ivey, these two, they know each other so well. Ivey trying to take it right at him. How about the follow by the big fella?
At the Bryce Jordan Center. No show next week because the Boilermakers will be on the road, right? You got 4 out of 5 next week. You got 2 on the road coming up here, and then a home game, and then 2 more on the road.
Yeah,
I know you don't look past the next one, but I can tell you got 4 out of 5 on the road, just in case you wanted to know.
Yeah, we play Michigan next week on a Tuesday at 9, so like we will not have a show the following week. But yeah, anytime you get into these situations where you play a lot, you know, on the road and you get there, sometimes it can be helpful. Obviously, sometimes it can't. But in the situation that we're in, if you're going to make a move and have a chance to win your league late in the year, especially after the start we've had, you have to play these teams. You know, you got to play your road games at some time. Right. Sometimes you can build from that. And obviously, we have a noon game, which our last noon game against Penn State on Saturday, our last noon game, I thought our guys were ready against Butler. And that's always a test. You know, you don't have your normal your shoot around the day of the game, you know, because the game's starting at noon. You're not going to wake up and shoot at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, even though there's guys out there that do it. We don't do that. We do our shoot around the night before and get ourselves ready. And I thought our guys were ready against Butler, and that was a great sign for us before the break. But we're going to have to really have some good practices here and have some spirited practices to get ourselves ready for that Penn State game.
Once again, our number is 888-246-2678. On Facebook, we're on the Purdue Athletics site. Hello from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. Swamico, Wisconsin, here in West Lafayette, Hillsdale, Michigan, Clear Lake City, Texas. A couple of questions here. Let's start with one. Somebody wants to know if you've ever thought about playing Jaden Ivey at the 1.
Yeah, we try to put the ball in his hands from a transition standpoint as much as we can and give him space there. In terms of initiating offense and running things, we do some things with him where he has the basketball in some ball screen action, and we do a lot of speed cuts with him, off the baseline to get guys on the run, to get guys behind, with him. But in terms of like running the team and getting us into offense and everything, the guys that we have, do a really good job for us. And I think anytime you have some struggles across the board, you kind of look at things differently. But Jaden is very good in space. He is very good in the open court. And we just need to continue. If we do a better job from a defensive standpoint and you get him to miss more, he's going to get more opportunities. And that's what you want. You want him to be in space. You want him to be able to, get there, get some room, be able to break it down. I thought he did some really good things. He found Sasha for a 3. Found a couple other people. He had the one where he found Isaiah, and he didn't need to jump, and they took a charge, and that was his second foul, where he just had to jump stop and make a simple pass and there. But no, trying to get him, the basketball as much as we can, working downhill and working into space. That's his strongest suit right there.
Yeah, we've seen the versatility out of Ethan Morton. Another question here about playing Ethan Morton at the 1. I think we're going to have a lineup here of people waiting to play that point guard position before it's done.
Well, he does a lot of good point guard things, and that's what we talked about, him kind of having a cross matchup where he's with guys that can guard a point guard, and then he can guard a bigger wing, but putting the ball in his hands to pass. If you look at Sasha's assist-to-turnover ratio is very, very good, and Ethan's is elite. Putting the ball in those guys' hands where they can deliver the ball, not necessarily always having the ball full court, 94 feet, where quickness can come and get them and bother them. If they have the right matchup, especially Ethan, that is doable. And it's not something we've done a lot. Now, you got to understand you're talking about a guy who backs us up at the 4 also. So he's very versatile, and he can guard different people, and he's very cerebral. And, he's just we talked about it earlier. He's learning some things, especially defensively, just being out on the floor. He's got a good feel where the ball needs to go, especially in crucial situations where sometimes guys don't kind of have that feel. They're just like, hey, I was open. It's the old story that Pat Riley tells when he took a shot in the playoffs and he was wide open, and he thought it was a great shot, and the coach came back to him and said, there's a reason why you're open. Get the ball to Jerry West. And, and
I don't see Pat Riley's silhouette on the NBA logo, do you?
No, but
maybe the hair.
But he's he's pretty intelligent. He's done a lot of great things as a coach and general manager in the NBA. I think he's learned a lot since that day.
Yes.
So, but no, that's one of those things when you have players like Ethan. I call them multipliers. They make other people better, and that's what we have to do. We just got to get on the same page. Like I said, have more of a competitive spirit about us, not be as cool. Just to me, it's too cool. Like I've felt this coming for a while. When you get your defense and you get your rebounding and you're sharing the basketball, you're not trying to be, like the flash of everything. Just play the game the right way and have fun with it, and you're going to be a much better team.
All right, we're coming to you from Wolfies in West Lafayette. We'll have more of the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO right after this from Learfield.
Tennessee did it after missing so many players to the portal. O'Connell rolls, going to let go, deep, wide open. A Purdue first down and more for Black Thompson. On the U-turn on Lower Broadway. He is in. Touchdown, Purdue, 75 yards. Down the field. Second and 13. O'Connell gets rid of it quickly. That's good for a Purdue first down. Anthrop dances his way past midfield.
It's the best fullback in college football.
O'Connell going deep. Is caught out at the 2-yard line.
Finished it, but Tennessee did their part as well.
3rd and 10. Hooker has a hit out of his hand. Falls on the grass, and Purdue scrambling for it. Boilermakers have it. Little boot and a dunk. Touchdown, Payne Durham. Low snap. O'Connell fires. Caught. First down, Purdue. It's playing coverage. Over the middle. Caught by the tight end, Payne Durham. Into Tennessee territory. Spins free. Durham down the sideline. A stiff arm. He is in. What a play by Payne Durham. It goes for 62, and Purdue's back in front. McConnell's got time. Got it. Low snap. O'Connell fires sideline. Caught! It's Brock Thompson again, and he will rumble all the way down to the sideline for a 70-yard touchdown.
Right there off the edge.
Hooker looking. Scramble. Taken down! For Purdue's 9th win of the season. It is good, and Purdue in a back-and-forth affair wins it in overtime.
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Show, presented by GEMCO. We're live at Wolfies Grill with the largest view of the game outside of Mackey Arena. And we have our first caller of the night, 888-246-2678 is our number. And Brian, I believe, is calling in from Rensselaer. Brian, is that where you are? And whether it is or not, what's your question?
Yes, sir. How you guys doing? Matt, I got just an observation from last night being at the game. You know, and I know this kind of might be out of your jurisdiction necessarily, but something I noticed in the Iowa game, it happened twice again last night. When a player fouls out for the opposing team, the fans chant left, right when they're stepping back to the bench, and then they yell sit down right when the player sits down on his bench. But the problem with that is I've seen it now 3 times where the opposing team is literally waiting to tell their player to sit down right when our player is in their backstroke of their free throw. And it's really frustrating to me as a fan. This is supposed to be home court advantage, and they're yelling while we're shooting free throws. It's like reminiscent of, you know, being quiet when a football team is in the red zone. And I just, you know, I know this isn't you're the coach. You're not the coach of the fans, but at the same time, like, we're all supposed to be in on this together. And it's frustrating for me as a fan when we're yelling while our team is shooting crucial free throws in crucial moments of the game. And I just wondered if you had any thoughts on that, or if you've noticed that happen.
Right. Yeah, I haven't noticed that. But there'll be like songs that get played that people will talk about. It's, oh yeah, this is a song they play at the second time out. And I've been the coach for 17 years, and I've never heard that song. And so I'd be like, how can't you hear that song? You're like, well, you're in the huddle and you're talking and you're doing, but it is a loud song, right? You're in the arena, but I've never heard it. So no, I have heard them do the left right. So I do know that's going on, but I didn't know that they were waiting. I know I've seen before when I watch tape, I've seen where a guy won't sit down. Yep. And then, like, they'll just wait forever just so those guys can't say it. But I don't know if they've gotten it to where it's intentional. If they're game planning and scheming and that's part of their scheme, that's pretty in depth. I wouldn't think that would be something that they would do something. But I understand from your, you just want your team to make their free throws and people not to bother them while they're shooting their free throws. But I know who it doesn't bother. It doesn't bother somebody who's a good free throw shooter. I know that. It might bother someone who's a bad one, but a lot of things bother bad free throw shooters.
That's right. We had a question one of your audience members asked during the timeout. You've had issues at times, and you had it last night late in the first half, sometimes getting the ball up court.
Yes.
It's a big turnover. You had it within 3 points, 27-24. You took a timeout.
Right.
And you got a chance to either hit a 2 or a 3 maybe to tie it up. They steal, get a dunk, and going up 5.
Yeah, I'll kind of compound the question with Jaden Ivey being on the bench. And so a lot of people go through, like, having, 2 fouls. Do you play somebody? Do you not play somebody? I go back and forth, but when I do it, it's who are you playing instead of that person, and what's the score and where's the game going, And so, like, it was just an ugly game in the first half. They're 1 for 12 or 13 from 3. All their stuff was in the paint off our turnovers and offensive rebounds. So defensively, we were doing a pretty good job, but then we weren't scrapping and getting some of those 50-50 balls or whatever, and then we were having costly turnovers that led to runouts. Like they made a lot of layups. Like we scored the ball in the paint from post-up position. They scored the ball in the paint from runouts, loose balls, scrambles, where they ended up, getting the basketball. So when you get into that situation, like you want one shot. So we call a timeout. There's 30 seconds. And we've talked to our point guards about this. You can't let half court be a defender. Okay? So when you cross half court, you don't stop right there. Now you can stop right there if you can handle the pressure and just dribble in place. So when I played many years ago, they had the 5 seconds dribbling. So you had to get your space. You'd go back. Even before that, they had the hash mark. You could dribble past the hash mark, come back. For some old timers in the crowd, you guys are nodding your heads because it was a crazy rule.
That was when the game was in black and white.
That was there you go. That was in the black and white before we got to the color TVs. And so, but you don't let half court be a defender. It's like getting trapped. Like you don't want sideline and the baseline to be an extra defender and you get boxed in. You want to catch it in the middle or you want to catch it a little bit further up. Sometimes you have to get it there because you're stuck, but you don't have to get it there during that. We've had guys get their pocket pick there. We've had guys do the same thing, and we've talked about just speed dribble by the guy, do a pullback dribble, reverse, go back, step back. You just keep messing with him because you can dribble in place and there's no 5-second call. But when you just dribble in the same spot and that's all you do, then you got to put the guy on your hip and just keep him there. Like, Magic Johnson would do or Mark Jackson with the Pacers. You just put him on your hip. We cross over in front of the guy's face. Why? I have no idea. I always talk about somebody's weaknesses. I always go on weaknesses of a player. If you can't dribble with your left hand, there is nothing in the rule book that says you have to dribble with your left hand. If you can't shoot threes, there is nothing in the rule book that says you have to shoot threes. I can keep going if you want me to. So when I'm trying to get role definition with our guys is just play to your strengths. It's okay being you, all right? It is okay being you. So when things like that happen, that's just a lack of concentration. Now, with that being said, the ball gets kicked. All right, should we cross over in front of him? No. Should that situation happen? No. But the ball does get kicked. That's what he was arguing there at halftime. I didn't know what he was arguing. Yeah. Like I kind of was like, I just took my eyes off what was going on because the play's not getting ready to start yet. Just handled the basketball. And so when I go back and watch film, the ball does get kicked. I don't know. It's not an intentional kick, but he moves his foot and he kicks the ball. And that would be the discretion of the refs. The refs didn't see it. They called deflection. He thought he deflected the ball with his hand by the way he gestured. Right. And then I didn't see it until I watched the film after the game. So, but yeah, that's it's just a kind of a cardinal sin, really. Like that's just something you don't do. And we've done it 2 or 3 times. We've talked about it, and then we do it again. We just have to be better than that.
And sometimes, Matt, you get into a high-scoring game. A 5-point swing doesn't make a whole lot of difference. But when you have a rock fight like you had in the first half, 5 points seem like an eternity.
Oh, and that was kind of the way we kind of hung in there and battled, and we couldn't get anything going. But now you get a basket there or you get fouled there, you walk into the halftime tied, and now that's that difference. You don't get a +2 or a +3. You get the -2, and now you're down 5 to start the half. And then you look how we start the half. Now if it's tied and you start the half there, you're not up 2 points, you're up 7 points.
All right, we're going to have more. We've got Don from Lafayette. We're going to get to him after the break. It is the Coach Painter Show presented by GEMCO, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
As a scorer, Trevion Williams able to get his game on a little bit more, and once again,
things going a little bit on the offensive side. Just 1.7 points per game over the last 3. Edey inside, count it, and the for the Boilermakers today. Everybody else is good to go. Brandon Newman hits the 3.
Right, Kevin. To see the ball go through the basket for Brandon Newman is huge right now.
With the 3. Purdue as Isaiah Thompson will push it up the floor.
That was good by Mason Gillis, just walling up, and now you got the cut. Purdue having a good.
Here's Thompson to launch, and Thompson, of course, the main role for Thompson is ball handling, and only 10 turnovers in the last 28 games coming in, and Williams knows how to finish after the penetration by Gordon. Weaving inside, Edey says no way, and it stays in play. 52 against Omaha in the first half, had 52 in the second half against North Carolina. Ivey will try to extend that, and he does. The deep 3.
outside of the first 4 or 5 minutes here today. I think they're growing. You know, I thought that there was maybe some things exposed as Jaden Ivey getting to the rack with authority. My goodness. He's having himself a day. They've been able to find him in pick and pop situations, and that's because Purdue's showing so much respect. Zach Edey, it's been a theme all day.
Lions going baseline against Edey. Rejected by Edey. Newman, a lob to Edey, and easy pickings for the 7'4" sophomore.
Great pass.
Inside, and Edey with a two-hand hammer.
No block out. Manny Little's opportunistic.
It's his second start of the season today with Devontae Carter still in COVID protocols, and Zach Edey. The Williams numbers, you've got.
Welcome back. It is the Matt Painter Show at Wolfies in West Lafayette. We got a couple of callers waiting on the line. Don from Lafayette, you've been patiently with us, so what's your question for Coach Painter tonight?
Coach Painter, I just want to talk about the second half. I don't do much coaching, but I was wondering. We had a couple of games where we were running and gunning and trying to make three-pointers, and it's not working. We get down to maybe 4 or 5 minutes left in the second half, and I'm not criticizing, but I want to know: is there a reason we don't put one big on one side of the basket, one big on the other side of the basket, and instead of trying to kill that team with three-pointers, why don't we feed those guys in there and let them do their thing together, not one at a time?
Yeah. Well, when you play both of those guys together, you're going to have to be able to defend somebody like Wisconsin. You're going to be able to defend like quicker guys. And you got to, from a transition defense standpoint, from a ball screen defense standpoint, it's just not doable with both of those guys. I understand if we played half court and it was a Gus Macker, it'd be a great decision because you would just wail on those guys and you would sit there. But you got to be able to be able to play in transition offensively. You got to be able to play in transition defensively. You got to be able to match up to people and guard them. Having people that have played, it was funny. We had a recruit in the other day, and his dad was a guy that played overseas, and he talked about it, and he just said he thought it was how hard it was for us to play big with one of them. He goes, isn't that hard to play with guys the way the game is played right now? I go, yeah, it actually is. He goes, but it's impossible to play with both those guys. I said, yeah. I go, I tried. I said, like, we tried in practice to do it, and we tried to do different things, and, like, you're going to have the one matchup. The thing that you get when you're bigger right there is that you're not going to be able to get a lot of those same switches that guys do, and they take action away from people, and then you're going to get in rotations. And when you get in rotations and you're bigger, it's just so much harder. Now, to your thing about shooting three-pointers, we were 8 for 20 last night, so we're getting 1.2 points per shot, which is good. All right, so we were the #1 efficient offensive team in the country going into the game last night. I don't know if we still are. So I don't think offense is really our issue, even though, you know, you're talking about shooting those three-pointers. We were 8 for 20. I think Jaden missed one at the end. He's shooting 46% from three. Sasha had a couple really good looks. You know, Sasha shot 40% for his career. So if you can, we shot 40% as a team last night. So if you got the right guys shooting them, we might have a couple that you want back. But Zach Edey took 17 shots. So we're going to the well right there, just getting that deep position. We've got to get Travion to post up deeper. When Travion posts up deep, you know, he's pretty good. He's got to be aggressive and looking to score, so they take that away, so then his passing's even better. But like I said earlier, we have to be better at what we do.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Jerry is calling in tonight from Fort Wayne. Jerry, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. I guess my biggest concern, I've been watching basketball down there since they opened Mackey. And the effort last night was very disturbing, I thought, from our boilers. Just to get out-efforted, out-hustled on our floor, it was almost unheard of. And I wondered what was going on with the team, anything that created this situation, but it was pretty obvious. And I really have concern with advancing this year with the smaller guards we have, the point guards. We got a lot of good teams in the country with tall guards, all point guards. And that may have been a little bit of a problem with Rutgers matching up. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are there.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I think it is disturbing. And it is a good comment and a good observation. I thought they played harder than we did, and that's all we talked about. I thought we didn't have a very good defensive effort in our game after break. We gave up 90 points. And so from a preparation standpoint and what you go through, I always say that about a Wisconsin or about a Michigan State. It's an easy scout. It's a really easy scout, but it's hard to do. It's hard to beat them. And so, you know what's coming, but can you be more physical than them? Can you be tougher than them? And we weren't. And that's on me as much as it is on the players. I mean, you're the coach. You're the one that's responsible for it. And we thought we had them ready, but some of the things you talked about right there, kind of the showmanship, kind of like whatever, and I thought that kind of was at the forefront instead of the meat and potatoes of being blue collar and playing hard. You can do some. I always say if you want to show your emotion and do your thing on a whistle or a dead ball, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm all for that, but just that can't be the backbone of what you do. And we had too much of that other night. And you're dead right. And that's on me. I got to get them to do a better job of playing together, staying connected on the defensive end, but a little bit more substance, a little bit less style is the way I looked at it after watching the film.
We see on Facebook that Coach Katie is watching. If Coach Katie had been coaching the team last night and come into the game after the locker room after the game, what would have been said?
Oh, you gotta hide the women and children. Those were always some things when we really made jumps, and we've always tried to do this is through tough losses. And I think for him it was always playing hard and playing smart. Don't beat yourself. I thought we beat ourselves, even though we didn't have an astronomical amount of turnovers. We were just too cute, in my opinion. And that's what he would have said. He would have said, just too cute. It's Purdue. And I told him, I explained to them about our fans and who our fans are. Our fans are educated people. Our fans understand basketball, but they're blue-collar people. They want to see you play hard, man. They want to see you lay it on the line. And Wisconsin was the team that did that. And like I said earlier, that's on me. I have to get them ready. Even though you prep and you go through things and you might do something the same exact way with the previous team and you won the game that way, it doesn't mean, you don't get judged on what you know as a coach. You get judged on what you can get across to your players. And I got to do a better job because we got some really talented guys that just aren't responding to some things and understanding the success. Now, the thing that's great about it is they've done that before. You know what I mean? So, they've done that before. They have been that team where they've been the team that's outworked people. They've been the team that's been tougher. They've been the team that's had more substance over style. But that wasn't the case right there, so we got to get that corrected. And that's where his line would have been. That's where when he draws the hard line, on that. You play harder than your opponent. You play smarter than your opponent.
All right, we'll have more after the break. This is the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Ivy almost was MVP on a losing team. He's tremendous. There he is, right on cue, taking the lob from Ethan Martin. Not uncommon. That's what Purdue does to just about everybody. Ivy, count it. So, chemistry issues out there on both ends of the floor could be problematic. How about that? Zach Edey as well as Travion Williams. Only 4 points in the painted area. There's an easy one. Miles Tate loses it. Ivy again.
That you normally would take, but this is a 37% free throw shooting team and another lob.
Boy, Morton and Edey have got it down, don't they?
1-2-2 or disguised 2-3 zone, but again, beautiful.
How about that pass from Williams? Well, this guy's got a lot of pep in his step, doesn't he? Look at that high riser. Look at that high riser. Stefanovic. Has come into the game, as has first. Ivy, beautiful pass to first. Ivy's just doing it all.
Just, you only got 28 points right now. and we're ticking down in the second half. And Bogdanovic is right now able to add.
It was saved by David, but right into the waiting arms of Ethan Morton.
Too deep.
Beautiful pass. Beautiful pass to Gillis. Wow. You look up and you see that big wall of Zach Edey, and you say, gosh, this is imposing.
But you know what the pros are like about him, too? Is that remember when he came into, and that's his pet move right there, that little crossover. When he came into Purdue, he was overweight.
Taken out of there by Ivy.
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Show, presented by GEMCO. We're live at Wolfies Grill with the largest view of the game outside of Mackey Arena. It's time for our Pro Boilers feature, where we look at how former Purdue student athletes are doing in their professional sports careers. Pro Boilers is presented by Indiana Kitchen Premium Pork Products. Get to know us at indianakitchen.com. Both our Pro Boilers and Indiana Kitchen are boiler-made. I'm going to ask Coach Painter about each one more, because we haven't seen each one play yet this year. With a knee injury, playing for the Orlando Magic. Have you had any conversations with him lately?
Yeah, I've talked with him a couple times here this past month. He called after we struggled against Iowa's press to let me know what to do. And then he
did he offer to come back and help with it?
that would have worked. That would have worked. He needed a fifth year.
There you go.
And then he called about just there's a recruit that his high school coach had seen out there, and he wanted to just kind of follow up about it. But he said he's going to be back anytime soon. So he's been out the whole season with the knee injury. So hopefully he can get back in the swing of things and get some minutes.
Each one more has carved himself a pretty nice NBA career.
Oh, this is his 11th year, and they have a lot of young guards with Orlando. And that, you know, if you have done things the right way and you know the game and, you know, you're low to no maintenance, like sometimes you're getting picked up on the team to be there for the younger guys as much as you are to play. And if you can play that role, and, you know, he signed for $3 million this year, it's a good way to make a living. And
yes, it is.
It's a good way to hang in the NBA. And I asked him if he was going to coach. He said, because some of those guys like really tried to kind of push for that. And he just says, no, when I retire, I think, 2, 3, 4 years I'm going to take off. He goes, maybe after that, but I want to take some time off after his career.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Jackson is calling in from Indianapolis. Jackson, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I'll preface this by saying you know 100 times more about basketball than I do, and I think you're going to be one of the greatest coaches of all time when your career is over. I was simply just wondering, when you sub Ethan Morin in, he played a little point guard in high school, if not his main position in high school, and I'm just wondering why you're taking out Gillis or First instead of one of the point guards. I think Morin at point, or at least on the floor with four of those other guys, would give you the ceiling on offense. He makes the offense flow so much better than maybe our point guard position is giving us so far this season. So I'm just wondering your take on that, if it's just for defense or if Morin can be the point guard going forward.
Yeah, it's more the defense. It's matching up and trying to get some things figured out. When we get bigger like that and we get into switches, and then he's in there. And now when you're ultimately bigger at the 4 and the 5, and then you have him at the point, especially when Jaden is not in there, you just don't have a lot of you don't have any quickness. But I was going to say you don't have a lot of quickness. You don't have any at that time. So you can get into what you're running at that time, and he's someone that's very versatile, so he can play across the board. But then how do you match up against them? And they really put you in binds, especially with a little bit of their action. And people that don't switch it and just take it on and stick with those guys, that's how they get their angles a lot. So we switch a lot of that stuff to take that away, but then you got to have the discipline to stay with it. But you also have to have that flexibility to be able to do that. So that's a good question, but it's also something that you go back as a coach and you look at the drawing board and like I say, what group is giving you what. We run a lot of things, so you got to take that into understanding. So being able to have the people on the court to get us into what we run is important.
GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Matt Painter Show and proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors, Boiler Up. We'll have more from Coach Painter when we return. It's the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
And Tennessee did it after missing so many players to the portal. O'Connell rolls, going to let go, deep, wide open. A Purdue first down and more for Black Thompson. Hung a U-turn on Lower Broadway. He is in. Touchdown, Purdue, 75 yards. Down the field. 2nd and 13. O'Connell gets rid of it quickly. That's good for a Purdue first down. Anthrop dances his way past midfield.
That's the best fullback in college football.
O'Connell going deep. Is caught out at the 2-yard line.
Finished it, but Tennessee did their part as well.
3rd and 10. Hooker has a hit out of his hand. Falls on the grass, and Purdue scrambling for it. Boilermakers have it. Little boot and a dump. Touchdown, Payne Durham. Low snap. O'Connell fires. Caught. First down, Purdue. It's playing coverage. Over the middle. Caught by the tight end, Payne Durham. Into Tennessee territory. Spins free. Durham down the sideline. A stiff arm. He is in. What a play by Payne Durham. It goes for 62, and Purdue's back in front. O'Connell's got time. Got it. Oh, snap. O'Connell fires sideline. Caught! It's Brock Thompson again, and he will rumble all the way down to the sideline for a 70-yard touchdown.
Right there off the edge.
Hooker looking. Scramble. Taken down! For Purdue's 9th win of the season. It is good, and Purdue in a back-and-forth affair wins it in overtime.
Back at Wolfies in West Lafayette, let's go back to the phone lines where Chris is calling in tonight from Kalamazoo. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I just got a quick question about Ethan Morton. He seems to lay everything he has out on the floor when he plays. Do guys like him, or even just him himself, ask for more minutes, or do they just relish the role?
Well, I think everybody wants more minutes. But he's actually a really level-headed guy, and he just wants to get better. And it's always interesting to me, like, when you watch film and you do stuff, like, who's the guys that are just chomping at the bit to come in to watch their film? Like, can you sleep? Like, some people can't sleep. Like, who came in today? Like, who came in on their own? Like, today's an off day for us. Like, it's always like, who came and watched film? Like, who went and, like, got it figured out? Ethan Morton, front and center. Like, he wants to get better. Zach Edey, front and center. Like, right away. Doesn't mean the other guys don't come in at some point to see it, but, like, who's it bothering? And Coach Katie would always, talk about that, like how, the game bothers. Like, people don't realize that as a coach. Like, you think things through, you do things, and you're not perfect, and you don't get to those things. But at the end of the day, when you lose, you feel responsible. You are responsible. And so, like, it eats at you. And so, like, waiting to play a game at 7 p.m., drives you nuts. I love noon games because you don't have to wait so long. I love the games. I hate waiting for them, and I hate losing. You're miserable. And Ethan's one of those guys that's probably going to, even though we're going to probably try to stop him from doing it, he's probably going to end up being a coach someday. And so we'll, like, try to stop him, like, from ruining his life.
Yeah.
And
good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck. But, no, he, it's a really good question because guys like that help you win. And they do a lot of little things. Like I said, he's not with the experiences. But I know this. When we lose, I always have a statement when we lose, when guys are like, you're trying to figure things out. Like, if you lose with somebody, I definitely believe you can lose without somebody. You can lose anyway. But who can you win with? Like, who's going to help you win at the end of the day? Nothing else really matters. You can get into anything you want to get. Who's going to give you the best chance of winning? And it's a collective thing. It's not like an individual guy, put this guy here, do this, do this. It's not that simple. It just isn't that simple, especially when you've worked on it for a long time. But he's one of those guys that going forward you really feel good about because he doesn't turn the basketball over. He's trying to do what you ask him to do, and he knows where good players are on the court. Like, he's trying to get the ball to Zach Edey. He's trying to find Jaden Ivey or Sasha Stefanovic or Travion Williams. Like, and that's what you need. Sometimes you got to just have that guy on the court that has that awareness. But what if you could have everybody that's that way? That's what we got to be able to grow into.
We got 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds on your next opponent, Penn State.
Well, they play tomorrow night against Northwestern. They got a good win against Indiana, home win. And just, you know, obviously Shrews was with us and has done a great job there trying to, you know, in your first year trying to piece things together and kind of figure out your team. They got some guys from the portal, and that's really helped them, but they've been on pause. They've had some injuries. They've, you know, and so it's not been a complete team. Now it seems like they got a complete team going in the right direction, but they got a big game tomorrow at Northwestern, and I think that'll tell us a lot also.
All right, final segment of the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO is coming up. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield. At the other end, dribbling through traffic, gets it off to Janae Terry. She drives. Terry double team, gets in the air, throws the ball back for a three-pointer by Harden, and it's good. Cassidy Harden with the trip. Behind the three-point line, throws off to Terry. Terry lobs it inside to Waltman. She has to leap high to catch it. Throws it off to Ellis. In the corner, here's Layden. Three in the air, good. Madison Layden with the triple. Ellis back off to Layden.
Breaks the 3-minute scoring drought.
There's Harden with another three. She's got it. Cassidy Harden hits the triple. 5 to play third quarter. Layden on the right sideline. This is in front of the Boilermaker bench. Now right off to Janae Terry. Down low to Ricky Waltman, who lays it in and scores and draws the foul. All of last season and half of the year before. They tried to kick it inside to Singleton, off her hands, turnover. Here's Terry coming down, one-on-one against Lassiter. She goes up with a shot, banks it home, and draws the foul. China Cornwell is the fifth player out there. Ellis in the front court. Boilermakers up 18 with the ball here. And now they go backdoor to Abby Ellis, who goes up for the reverse layup and score. Good steal there by Morris, who brings it down the middle. Morris passes it off to Maddox. Her ball is tipped away and stolen by Ellis. Now here comes Terry, one-on-one against Mason. Terry takes her to the rack, lays it up, and scores.
Now Purdue doesn't need to panic. They need to get back and get a basket right here. Break this 10-0 run.
There's Ellis on the offensive end with 10 on the shot clock. Ellis gets a step, drives through two, lays it up, and good.
Well, you got to try to get down to maybe the 4-minute mark before you bring Madison Layden back in, and you hope you can just hang on until then.
Janae Terry, double team. They throw it inside. Waltman with the catch, lays it up and in.
And a great move by Ricky Waltman.
I should say for regulation. They start in a 1-4 set. Here's Lassiter. Bounce pass on the far side. This is Petrie. Petrie driving, had the ball tipped away. It's loose. Rokia Doumbia has it. It's a jump ball. It's Purdue's basketball. Looking, gets it in bounds to Terry. Terry drives. Terry with a short jumper off the glass. Yes! Yes! Purdue wins it at the buzzer. The second buzzer beater this season by Janae Terry.
Terry, cool as a cute.
Back at Wolfies for the last segment of the Matt Painter Show. I know that Rob Blackman usually has gems. I have no gems. I can't afford to have gems, but I will give you some schedule updates of what's coming up for Boilermaker men's basketball. Purdue taking on Penn State on Saturday. That'll be a noon tip-off. Rob will be on the air at 11 a.m. this Saturday. And then a week from tonight, Purdue will be at Michigan. That's a late tip-off. It's a 9 o'clock Eastern start. On Friday the 14th, Purdue hosts Nebraska. That's a 6:30 start. And then on Martin Luther King Day on the 17th of January, it's the Boilermakers against the Fighting Illini. That one will tip off early. That will be a noon tip-off. So a lot of early games coming up, a late game at Michigan, but 4 of the next 5 coming up on the road. Want to thank our engineer tonight, Wes Scott, and our producer, Nate Strope. Again, the Boilermakers on the road against Penn State on Saturday. For Rob Blackman, get well soon, Rob. And for the head coach, this is Tim Newton, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.